Rolling Thunder is pretty good. There's a BKB available for the Lina Pop set. There's the save on the CZY. Yowe is dropping low.
Oh, he doesn't get a Doom.
Then your team needs to be careful.
Oh, the
Yowe, they find themselves 2 kills, running away. Nevermind is pretty fast. CZY is going to get taken down, but the Aegis did get popped. And for the Morphling, needs to dip out, wait for him back. There is no crit yet on the Lina, but they will get Nevermind on the side, who seems to crawl right back towards DB. And DB is getting his level 4 Dagon delivered as we speak. Currently, Morphling is just ticking down. Wait.
Yeah, it's the...
He just
I don't know about that.
20 magic 1 charges. He had attribute shift towards strength. Yeah, there's the GG call. After that, I'd be also like, yeah, no, never mind, screw this.
Can't really blame them. It was a uphill battle from the laning stage. Just didn't really have anyone to play with. And also with that, AG secure their victory. Joken having a great time here.
Yeah, that was easy pickings. No problem whatsoever in this series for Army Geniuses. Both games, they win the lanes, they win the game. Unsurprising. No, the 100% for me, the MVP is DB. Man's gotten Dagon. Come on. Like, Dagon level 4 at the end. You got to get MVP for that. And it is with the coach, the general himself, Clairvoyance. Hello. Welcome. And congratulations. Clean sweeping Division 2.
Yeah, I can't say we expected it for sure, but I think I assumed that on paper we were probably one of the favorites to qualify, or at least top 3. So I think I'm obviously happy for my guys. I think we met expectations, possibly exceeded in some way, being first place. As you can see, I have a group of
paparazzi.
Different beings here, all happy, excited to be rank 1. We finally won something, and yeah, bring this small, albeit important trophy to this AG family is the first step towards our road to the international.
All right, I got some questions, Claire. I'm glad to have you here. Well,
yeah, Adam, good to see you, man.
Been on AG much longer than I think anyone on the roster. It's a kind of a long-term project. You've kind of found success, like you said, a small trophy brought home for AG finally. Congrats on Div 1. I want to ask about like your journey so far. Like, you've been in AG for so long, like beyond this roster, like how has it been for you?
Yeah, excuse me. AG has been like a culmination of a lot of things for me. My career trajectory has been like very up and down. I worked with like I guess like recent TI winners in the past with NAP and all that stuff. I worked with Western teams for the most part before COVID hit, and kind of like everybody was forced to go online. Then I kind of found C to be a comfortable place for me because it I feel like it allows me to express my ideas in kind of full. Obviously there's like a always kind of like a battle for struggle with coaches and orgs and players, because in the Dota scene, how coaches are hired is kind of different from other teams, right? It's like, other scenes. So for example, you're getting hired by a player recommendation as a coach, and your job is to teach these guys how to play or what they should be doing. And that order is kind of like, it sets up a very weird hierarchy, if you understand what I mean.
Yes,
because in the end, like
completely.
the players are the ones that say like you're gonna go. So yeah, I came to C based on some org recommendations, which I kind of like. And yeah, I started with Boom, obviously, a bunch of second place in tournaments, 5 second places in a row. We couldn't close it out, largely due to my shortcoming. And in the end, I came to this AG roster after leaving Boom and reconsidering my future. I decided I wanted to stick it out with Dota until the end. So yeah, I found AG. I wanted to build from scratch. It's always been kind of my modus operandi to kind of start from the bottom, get to the top. So yeah, I'm glad that we're slowly making it work.
Glad to hear that, man. Glad to hear that.
Yeah, shoot away with any questions, by the way. Yeah, that's a disclaimer. The season's over. We're expecting a big patch. Valve has announced that it's going to be March 6th, right? So no holds barred. I talk about Dota, talk about anything you want. Shoot away.
Okay, well then we got a couple of questions. We have had multiple interviews with your team members over the last couple of weeks, and they all pretty much had one thing to say, and that was that you handle your team slightly different than most other teams? Most teams have like a collaborative effort when it comes to the drafting, but your team members all say, you know, Clairvoyance decides everything. We shut up. We play whatever he says. How do you see that?
They're being humble and kind of memeing a bit. I think the draft is always a collective effort. To give a very clear example of that, like last series against Polaris, right, on the final 2 bans, I actually kind of forgot about the Arc Warden, which is one of their flavor picks. And I do strongly believe, based on the draft that we had, which was like Tiny Pugna, Crystal Maiden, the Arc Warden interacts very well with these. You know, they outreach these heroes and put a lot of pressure as the game progresses. So I forgot about that, and that was actually JoeCam's suggestion at the end. How about Arc Warden? And I said, oh yeah, you're right. That's a great call. So a lot of these players, even the heroes that they play that I end up choosing for them, it's because from practice we know as a team how good they can be with it. So I don't ever believe in like the draft being like a solo effort. It's always a team effort. Even if your contribution might not be as much as, you know, my volume of speech, for example, their presence alone, you know, is like a very big factor in why I pick the heroes that I pick. You know, just now this game, right, we played against Flo, we picked Pugna last 23, and I heard the commentary from you guys saying it's not like a real dominant pick, and honestly I agree with you, it's not. But it is a fact that DB is a Grandmaster Pugna, one of the best in the world, and the things that he can give you on Pugna, like for example Thompson at TI8, who beat a Templar Assassin with Pugna, which has never been seen before at the time. These players that have these exceptional abilities because of their understanding and their ability that other people don't. And that's always that edge that you want in competitive, is that somebody that's going to show you something you've never seen before. And I sincerely and truly believe in these guys here. I think they can be some of the best here. Yeah, we're not stopping for anything. I think we got a lot of surprises still in the bag, ready to go. And hopefully the new patch can retain that for us.
So let's talk about the new patch a bit. You know, you guys look really dominant this whole season. You kind of, I would say, figure out your own way to play this patch. Well, are you confident that you're able to do that again with the same 5 players regardless of what the patch brings? Yeah,
I am. Confidence has always been my thing. It's funny because this last year at TI with Sonic, it was my lowest ranked performance. I got bottom 20 at Sonic, you know, eliminated before the the playoffs. Never expected that in my life. And, you know, it's funny because at the time I was thinking that I was kind of at my peak in terms of my game knowledge and my experience and all the things that came together. Last year, you know, I've been touting about this very confidently to the public that I very strongly believed in the Leshrac with the Bloodstone, which we used to good effort with Quinn at TI, among other things like the Broodmother. You know, we were actually the first, AG was actually the first competitive team to first pick Broodmother last patch before any other team did it. So yeah, in terms of knowledge and how I see the game, I feel like I'm at my peak. I feel like with these guys being able to help me at my side, we're only going to be better. So for the new patch and the new teams, I just hope they watch out for us because they better.
There's of course that very interesting dynamic you have in the roster right now with DB, of course, previously being a safe laner, now an off laner, and as you said, a Grandmaster Pugna. So his hero pool is very diverse compared to a lot of other players out there. He loves playing safe laners and off lane for the most part, as we see the Naga and the Nature's Prophet, and it gives you guys a lot of flex possibilities in that regard. How does it feel drafting with DB in your mind compared to, let's say, you know, your standard off laners?
Okay, so for that, I'll put it this way. The offlaner that I've actually worked with the most in my life is 33. He's the player that I've coached the longest duration over periods of time because I've worked with him in Alliance and IP. I didn't end up going to Tundra when the offer was there. AUI took over afterwards, and then, you know, the rest is history. But 33, I've publicly touted, is one of the most brilliant minds and the best player in Dota for a very long time. And, you know, you have to, whatever competitor I want to work with, you know, I have to kind of think like, is this guy going to be able to match that guy, you know, at the big stage? And again, for that, you need some really creative minds. You need some guys out of the box. And I've made a lot of bold calls over the years. And I will say right now that this DB guy, he's a future TI winner. I'm very confident in his ability. I have strong faith in how he sees Dota. It's completely unique and different from most other players I've worked with. I believe I have a strong eye for talent, and I believe this guy is it. So it helps me a lot. My vision of Dota has always been to pressure by natural. And natural pressure always comes from farm and taking advantage of the map and the positions. Ironically, or coincidentally, the map has more gold than ever in the history of Dota, right? Over the last few years, with the 4th jungle being added and all that.
Yeah.
So I like to abuse this map, and I think you guys have seen our games, how we play it. You know, it's more methodical, slow. We get the gold advantage, take Roche. I like this. I think it's a stable, reliable way to play, even if you're a little bit outdrafted or you're missing some of the tools. And yeah, like guys like DB enable this vision.
I feel like you talk a lot about DB, like in comparison to 33 and this poke now. Like, I think a big reason that Tundra did so well at TI because 33, he understood his matchups to a point where he countered his counter picks and it gave them such a big advantage. Do you feel like DB is the same for you?
Yeah, I do. I think that this guy is able to win any matchup as long as we practice it ahead of time. And truthfully, I am sure that this season we have done more lane practice than any other teams have. I'm absolutely certain of that because lane practice is a concept that I believe I brought to Dota 2 before anyone else. And I think that every team I've gone to, especially at the start, even like teams like NIP, were very hesitant about it. But once they do it, they realize the value of experiencing these scenarios outside of these pubs that you can't always get, right? You can't always get the matchup that you want. Like, for example, we just played Naga versus Lifestealer, right? Who wins that matchup? You don't know for sure because oftentimes Naga doesn't play against Lifestealer in the lane. But if you practice the matchup, you'll know that Lifestealer can actually not pressure Naga at all, which leads to Naga free farming. And it gives Naga a timing with the Orchid to bully the Lifestealer in the mid game before he gets really too strong with the Rage. So stuff like this, again, I think, for example, Team Flow was probably not aware of, that we're aware of. And even it might not look like on paper that it's designed, it really is crafted that way. So this is like one example of an edge that you can get through practice and thinking ahead that can give you the lead against any opponent.
Yeah, obviously there's going to be a big patch coming up, a huge patch most likely because we haven't had a map change in a very long time. So they're hopefully, everything's going to be flipped upside down. But if, let's say the patch wasn't there and you take this team to Division 1, do you think with the amount of, it's in a sense greedy with you're playing pretty much 3 farming cores on the map, which not every team does because most of them sacrifice their offlaner. Some of them even sacrifice their safe laner in certain situations. But do you think that this same tactic works against top tier teams in the Southeast Asian region as well as it does right now?
I think as long as you have a strong understanding of matchups, as well as how the lane equilibrium works and how to abuse certain mechanics like the pull and whatnot, I think if you have strong concepts and ideas about executing these lanes with regardless of the matchup as well, for example, in the off lane, how to always pull and secure like a 45-55 kind of thing, I think you can pull it off. Like I said, I think the map is catered towards giving cores the most gold possible ever. In comparison to history, I think that as long as this map design remains this way, where there are 4 jungles and obviously the Dire jungle being more favorable than the Radiant, I think as long as you understand these numbers, the GPM that you can acquire and the items that you can purchase, for example, Gleipnir, which I think is like a single item that changes this meta, which is what really enables like these Linas and the Prophets to be really, really strong. I think if this understanding is there, I think it can work against anyone.
I feel like I've mentioned this about your drafts before, but I feel like the reason you guys do really well in a lot of these games because you tend to, correct me if I'm wrong, draft towards lineups that want to play the map. I feel like that's your kind of idea of Dota and concept. And a lot of the times I feel like you guys get away with lanes that you should not get away with. Do you think this is just credited to your own understanding, or it's also the opponents you're playing right now are not up to par in terms of skill level?
I think the answer is not exactly lopsided one towards the other, but I think you have a point that you made there. I think that there was actually a game that you were casting. We were playing against MAG, and they had this Nature's Prophet Tusk lineup against our Lina Disruptor on the safe lane. Kishka actually missed the Ice Shards and he missed the first blood in that lane. I could see that lane, for example, being Prophet favored in some degree. But at the same time, Lina's such a powerhouse force right now that because she just buys this Falcon Blade and the Raindrop, right? She's so tanky. So all in committals from a hero like Prophet, which doesn't do that much damage, kind of just does harassment, will eventually fall off. But I do agree with you, for example, we kind of got away with the lane there. And in the next game, I actually adjusted to pick the Lina into the Treant Protector just to give the Lina a beefy boy at the front. But yeah, I think obviously, I do believe in my players. I think they're some of the best, and I think our lane execution proves that. Whether we got away with it too much or not is, again, Dota's an execution game, and I can't tell you for sure until I break down every replay. But I do think that all the heroes that we picked usually had the basis behind it, and we did think about the counters as much as realistically possible. So to say the least, I think we were prepared, and I don't really think we like stole or robbed anyone of like a lane or anything, right? I do think we played better, and I do think we drafted correctly, but I do also understand the angle where sometimes we could have lost a lot more, you know, if it makes sense.
Yeah, that was honestly all the questions that I had pent up the entire season. Any last questions from you, Adam?
No, I'm good. It was really nice talking to you, man. I appreciate the insight. Congratulations again on Div 1.
No,
you guys really deserve it.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed both of you casting as well. Adam, you're always sharing that good knowledge. I can see that the pro player in you is still alive. Once again, thank you both. And yeah, I hope that the AG fans are excited to see us again, because we'll most certainly be back and stronger even.
I'll see you in Berlin then. Have a wonderful day.
Hi.